One part was a little bit different, but I come back to that later. What I like to do is first give a brief introduction, then go into the challenge where we stand for and what CENCOR and RVS are jointly wanting to conquer. Then the small-scale living project in the Netherlands. Then a little bit about the technical implementation, and then I would like to conclude. As I said, the paper is a joint venture between Jacques Aerts, who is sitting here up front, and myself. Jacques is the chairman of CENCOR, which is a non-profit foundation who does a lot of activity. I'm the managing director of RVS, so that was next to my job in Colombia. And RVS is a company that provides integral IP end-to-end services to both profit and non-profit industry, and we are also very active in the healthcare industry. What is the challenge that we're standing for? And the challenge is that if you look to the demographic structure, we all get older and it goes fast. What does that mean? It means that if we don't change anything, all new entrants into the labor market will be needed to actually support the elderly people, either in a healthcare home or at home, etc. And is that new? No, it's not. If you look back, the beginning of the last century, so the beginning of the 1900s, financial investors were advised not to invest in telecoms industry because people had figured out that if 50% of the people would have a telephone, we would need the other 50% from the people as operators to actually pull and connect the cords to connect the people. Obviously, as we have seen, this is not the case because due to mechanization, automation, and IT, it could be done with far less people, and that's the lesson I think we should take. And I would fully support Griet Verhennemann's statement in her presentation that if we want to conquer this difficult challenge, the use of ICT is absolutely necessary or mandatory. The small-scale project is a project by the Ministry of Health and Sports. They recognize the dilemma that we stand for, and therefore it's quite good to conquer. Unfortunately, she's not here. Millie Benayi, who said that one of the uses of the network, which would be very good to do, would be healthcare. And actually, this will take place in this project. And the whole goal of the project is to enable people to stay longer at home or stay longer in small-scale living environments and make sure that they can be independent. So as soon as people start needing some additional care, it's very good to minimize the care, to keep them independent, and they can live there. And the way it was done, it was a request for proposal sent out to quite a big number of healthcare institutions in the Netherlands to come up with proposals how to counter this challenge. CENCOR, which I just mentioned before, and Ernst & Young were contracted to evaluate and support. Ernst & Young in particular to check the business case, to check the financials, and CENCOR, the role I'm coming back to later. Where do we stand today? 28 organizations have responded. 13 projects were initially selected to go ahead, and 6 projects are now in the execution phase. So of the 13 projects, a number of projects are still in the preparation phase, so it's not that 7 projects didn't come through, but they are still not in the execution phase. And the way the market was looked at, it was divided into 3 different groups. There was the group living independently, so people staying in their home house, people in care centers which are attached to bigger centers. They're still independent, but they're physically very close to a care center. And the third form was the small-scale elderly centers. And again, there people were living together, but on a small scale. And what we see is that each of these groups has different, what they call Domotica in Dutch, what I would say house automation type support. And that was then attached to a specific technically based infrastructure where all these different care could be attached to. And then again, you use generic infrastructure, in other words, broadband, to actually do the interconnection. Some examples of just to visualize what we're talking about. It is special equipment used by the people where they can message to a care center that they need some help. And also here we see that the video contact between a user and a care professional or a practitioner to help them about. Some other examples, here we see a device which can be used to actually check the pulse rate of people, the health buddy that I just evolved, the contact, and also you could think about instruction movies for people to do certain tasks. So what's the business model? There was a project proposal was put in, then there was a social business case made, and the social business case, it looks into the financials, so is it financially viable? And that's where I was just explaining before, Ernst & Young was playing an important role in doing all the checks, but it also contained a lot of non-financial impacts. So can we reduce manpower? Is it feasible? Is it acceptable? Then in the next step, a zero-based measurement was done, then feeding that back into the project proposal, and if needed, adapt it. And again, we went around the loop a few times to ensure that there was a project proposal that was meeting all the necessities. So the projects, they got started, and they were the ones that are underway are evaluated. And what we see is that there were common themes to the projects. This concrete social business case proved to be very, very important to convince the management of the care institutions to go ahead. The projects were a reference and on the experience the framework was developed. What also was important was the reduction of cost and resource utilization. That was one of the important drivers to go ahead with the projects. A common theme which came back was the cost of ownership of the house automation. So how much does it cost to actually implement this Domotica, as we say in Dutch? And of course, the question, and that one will come in the next phase when the implementation is done, is small-scale living with house automation really meeting the objectives? Next important question that came out of the discussions with management of the care institutions was, is it scalable? Can we scale this? And the next one was need for standards, because there is no standards in this field. I think it's a bit too ambitious to think that you can set standards. So probably what has to be done is to make selection of certain sort of equipments. On the network side, it's easy. You can do the standards, you can implement the standards. But if you see the devices that we're talking about, you probably have to make selections and take those as for the time being, the standards. And what was also envisioned as very important was the maintenance and exploitation of the technical infrastructure. One of the important elements which was needed in almost all the solutions is a care service center. And the care service center is a central place where people needing assistance can contact, and they can ask the operator in the, so here is the elderly people, they can contact the care center, but also the care center monitors everything. I was showing before this device to measure the pulse rate of people, and if you see changes in the structure, then you can take action. So the whole idea behind the house automation project is to make sure that you only have people go on site if necessary. And that's a big improvement to the current situation where people go on site once a day, or if people need a little bit more assistance, twice a day, just to see if everything is right. And in 90% of the case, or 95% of the case, everything is all right. And they go there, and you sort of spill the resources. What are the current results? This care center that I just discussed is a very essential part of the solution. The other one is that it's also realized now that the network is absolutely vital to the service. And it also means that reliability becomes quite an issue. Because if you want to rely on this service, you only want to go on site if something is wrong with the people. You must be sure that it's not the network being down, causing no alarms to come through. Network costs are substantial, and as I said, just to have the availability, the backup is necessary. Well, this is an example how this can be implemented. It's straightforward. It's not very, I would say, it's state of the art, but not high development needed. It can be done today. And I've given an example where the home network has a primary access network using the DSL connection. And there is a UMTS as a secondary connection. Then you have the care exchange. And this way you can have a high availability. The costs are probably acceptable, but still fairly high, and that's going to be one of the disputes which are going to be in the evaluation phase. What can we conclude now? We have to act now to cope with the changing age of the people, and the use of house automation will be part of the solution. It's not the whole solution, but it will be part of the solution. Projects in the Netherlands show that it's viable, and that the network is key to the solution. And then I would like to come back to one of the remarks that were made this morning in the round table. Do we have to force people to use the internet? Well, my opinion is no, but of course forcing people is not going to work. But if you see the devices that I was showing before, they are so easy to use that people will use the device. So they will use the internet without noticing. So is the internet essential? Yes, it is. But people are going to use it without noticing. The other thing is that, considerable additional work is needed to evaluate. And then I would like to come back to Rafael Barreiro, who said this morning, can we afford this providing internet to everybody? And my idea is that whether we can afford it, yes, I think we can, because we have to allocate the money. But also we have no choice, because as you have seen, if we don't take measures, then we simply won't have the resources to support the people. And with that, I would like to show you what is our future, and that's this. Thank you.